Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 23rd April 2018. The first article, Lost Opportunities in London. This is about recently concluded Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. You know that the expectations were very high. Even it was called as Commonwealth 2. It means they want to see a departure from the past and revitalize the institution. Did it really happen is the question. Let us examine few things. This is the meeting happening after the Brexit. It is happening none other than London. And the third thing is, India, which is the largest economy over here, is participating after 10 years. The Prime Minister Modi has personally participated in this meeting, the Indian participation. And UK is looking for greater trade and business opportunities outside Europe now. So from this, expectations were very high. But if you closely observe, the United Kingdom and its immigration policy still is very tight. And there is no active steps taken or statements made during the CHOGM about this particular immigration policy. And now, from 1940s onwards, certain people from Caribbean islands, they migrated to UK as laborers. Now UK is not ready to accept them as the citizens. And second, it was a golden opportunity for the UK to show that it is, or else it is tied up with the democratic credentials. Why? Because in the rest of the Europe, the right-wing rhetoric is growing. So UK would have differentiated itself from this right-wing rhetoric by committing itself more towards the democratic credentials. But Queen of England, she clearly stated that her son, she is willing to see her son as the head of the Commonwealth. So, democratization of the institution, it has took a setback after she announced the same. So, in this context, Commonwealth rather than looking forward is more looking backward. And third, for India specifically, it is having many of the small island countries. And India do not have a diplomatic presence in these countries. Because of this, Commonwealth can help India to engage with small island countries who have a vital vote in United Nations General Assembly and other multilateral bodies. So this is what in a nutshell about Commonwealth. Unprecedented crisis. This article is about the process of removal related to Chief Justice of India. You know, removal motion is on table with regard to Chief Justice. And now the ball is in the court of Chairman of Rajya Sabha either to admit the motion or not. If you do not admit the motion will die then and there itself. Here, judicial independence, judicial accountability, these are put at crossheads with each other. Are they really in crossheads? Can't we align them? It is not independence versus accountability. It is more about independence and accountability. That's how it has to function in a democracy. So let us understand the evolution of the Supreme Court over here. So in 1970s, initially after independence, 1950s to 70s, Supreme Court functioned more like a legal institution. After 1970s, it started functioning like a popular institution, a public institution. Now it has become arbitrator between social groups. And as the legislature and its image, credibility, legitimacy started decreasing, to that extent, the Supreme Court has got strengthened. So here, if you see the basic structure doctrine and then due process of law, public interest litigation, all have facilitated for the Supreme Court to gain its public character. Now, the same public character is becoming antagonists or going against the Supreme Court. So, collegium is an expression of assertiveness of the Supreme Court to make its appointments by itself. And NJAC is taking this assertiveness away from the Supreme Court. So executive and legislature wants to play a major role with regard to judicial appointments and also control over judiciary by seeking its accountability. So this kind of motion on the Chief Justice of India is for the first time in Indian history. If it was admitted, it could have been a precedent that if judgments are not in favor to a particular party or against to a particular group, probably the members of parliament can threaten the judge with impeachment motion. So in a country such as India, it is the perception that matters. So in this context, probably opposition wants to make a political maneuver in which in which they want to communicate to country that there is danger to the democratic institutions like Supreme Court under the existing regime. That is going to be dangerous not just for India, even our democracy too. That's what is the conclusion I can make about it. So the impeachment is not a solution. And now it also exposes weaknesses in judicial accountability mechanisms in India. These are the points we need to talk about. So, what are the highlights which I spoke to you over here? Supreme Court is a legal institution, and with its assertiveness, it also has become more a public and a popular institution. And this is more connected with judicial activism. As a legal institution, it is more a federal court and a constitutional court. So these are the 2 points I want you to take home here. Death penalty is not the answer. So yesterday ordinance was passed by the president to give death penalty for the children, for the sexual offences against the children less than 12 years. Now, is death penalty warranted is the question. What is the assumption over here? So, it is more seen as a reaction to what happened in Unnao and also in Kashmir, in Jammu, Kathua rape incident. So in this scenario, obviously it's a gruesome crime. No one can deny the fact. But is the solution is death penalty over there? So in this context, if you take rape as an offense, the victim is disempowered throughout our legal process. Either it is at the medical examination in a hospital, investigation by a police officer, or during the trial in a court, the victim is disempowered. So we need to reform this entire criminal justice process so that the victim can be rehabilitated. And second, the government, if carefully observe, the conviction rate in the sexual violence cases is very less. So the fear of the law comes from consistency of punishment, fear of punishment, rather than the severity of punishment. And there is no empirical proof that if the punishment is severe, crime will decrease. If you see, after the Delhi rape incident, we have amended our penal code to give death penalty in the case a rape victim dies. But did it decrease the number of rapes in India? No. So to what extent retributive justice can help to decrease the crime in India? We are not sure about it. So in this context, the government has to take the accountability for deploring law and order situation in the country. And government immediately going to justify itself for its failure, stating that I have given you a solution in the form of a tough law. So it means the government through this knee-jerk reaction is trying to answer the people that an action is taken. But in reality, this action is not sufficient or nor complete. That's what I want to state over here. Next is replanting Indian cotton. You know that Indian cotton suffers from various problems. The yield is very less because what we use here are hybrid seeds. When the GM cotton has come up, it is new genes are introduced into this hybrid crops. So the density of the plant, the bush size is very high. So because of this, the minimum distance has to be maintained between the bushes. The number of plants that are planted on a field are very less. That's why yield is less. And the second thing is, after this particular approval of hybrids transferred from Indian Council of Agricultural Research to Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, they are started awarding it liberally. So that's why number of hybrids grew and their quality decreased. There are no sufficient field trials undertaken, and these hybrids are planted where they were not expected to be planted. It means rain-fed regions, etc. So the article what it states is the decreasing yield in cotton is more related to hybrids. India need to shift open pollinating varieties at least now. And this open pollination varieties can be tried in rain-fed regions. That's what this article talks about. Modi's Z summit expected to give a strategic push to ties. Remember, for this summit, which is going to happen in Wuhan, it's central province in China. So, in this Wuhan, the agenda is not being set for this meeting. It means without any preset agenda, the leaders are meeting with an open mind to have a open talk. So post Doklam, there is a reapproachment happened. In Xiamen, the BRICS summit was held, and Prime Minister Modi visited over there, and he has expressed the willingness to take forward strategic relations with China. Here, Prime Minister Modi has two things in his mind. One is early settlement of the border issue, and the second thing which he has is to create a prosperous Asian century. If it has to be created, India needs to work with China. China needs to move forward with India. There is no other alternative. Probably what might be the expectations of the Z over here? He might be inviting India to his dream project, that is WOBWOR. He is looking for the endorsement of this project. So in this context, such a meeting without any preset agenda is expected to bring in some out-of-box solutions. Let us wait and see. Young and local, the profile of a new militant. Now, if you see the rhetoric of the government, it is the Pakistan which is spreading the extremism, militancy in Kashmir. That's what we heard from time to time. But today, an young militant in Kashmir is not from outside, but he is domestically trained, belonging to Kashmir itself. And he is not a person who is unemployed, but he is a person who is educated and who also can get a job. And third, previously parents have opposed the children. Now, the parents, though they are not encouraging, but they are not regretful about their children getting into militancy. This clearly shows some loss of confidence of the Kashmiri people about Indian state. So a reapproachment is necessary. Rather than ad hoc approaches, appointing a special advisor, etc., special interlocutor, etc., we need to have permanent concrete solutions for reapproachment with the Kashmir. If not, the militancy is expected to grow over there. What government can do keep the fuel prices under check? Remember, the fuel prices internationally are rising. And second thing is, in India, excise duties are abnormally high. If you compare the entire South Asia, in India, the excise duties are high on petrol and diesel. And government has no intention to reduce them. So in this scenario, unless government cuts the excise duties, there is no chance that the prices will come down. So previously, the administered price mechanisms were there. Slowly we shifted to market determined price mechanism. It means if the global prices rise, prices of petrol and diesel in India will also rise. But in between this phase, the government has offered the oil marketing companies something called oil bonds to absorb the shock. It means it wants the people to take the shock slowly rather than suddenly. So the oil bonds were the mechanism which were used before. These are off-budget liabilities. The same thing can be brought in again now. Use of blockchain beyond cryptocurrencies. What is the utility of blockchain technology? When a transaction is made, a permanent digital imprint is being created. Because of this permanent digital imprint over here, the accuracy and also the privacy, both of them will be held. It means this digital imprint will not be in the original interaction. It will be in a crypted or encrypted form. So because of this, the privacy is protected, and also for every transaction or action there is a digital imprint, we have accuracy. So that's why it can be used with land transactions, financial management, student management in the institutes, anywhere the data is involved, data management is involved, the blockchain technology can be effective there. Tibet can be in China, Dalai Lama. This article is about Dalai Lama's stand on Tibet and its relation with China. What he says is, Tibet can be a part of China, but the China needs to protect its cultural autonomy. That's what stand is. Minorities commissions to seek constitutional status. So this can be a prelims question to you. What is the existing status of minorities? A commission. It was given a statutory status, I think. Now, it is seeking for constitutional status so that it gets certain penal powers to arrest and also to impose penalties on the errant officials. Tiger faced the ire of humans in UP's Terai. So here remember this park, that is Dudhwa Tiger Reserve. It is located in Uttar Pradesh. Just that point you need to remember. Finally, I gave you the notes that will be available to you at laix.in/CivilsPrep. Please go through it. Thank you very much and all the best.